The Veterans Corner and your host, Sal Santori. And we have today our great friend and guest and veteran, and also Pennsylvania State Senate candidate, Mr. Harry Cochran. Harry, thank you for your time once again. I
My
know you're
pleasure.
extremely busy, and welcome to the show. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, you bet. You bet. How are things going thus far, Harry, with the campaign, with
Well, the campaign's going well. We're getting a lot of exposure, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback. Of course, I'm a little concerned. I hope it's not a real light turnout. It's an off-year election, and that's always a concern because people don't realize, when it's presidential, everyone's concerned, but it's the local people, in this case, state legislators and the people you have to contact and you can reach because we're local a lot
right?
easier than you can to people in Washington. Some It's very hard to get through the executive branch in many cases for the congressional people. They're too far out of town. So this is an important election, and even when you just have local county elections, they're also very important because that's very local and townships and municipalities. They need to be represented. And I remember Tip O'Neill said when he was Speaker of the House, all politics is local, and it hasn't changed. I don't think it ever will. So that's
Yeah.
where I am with that.
Yeah, and these elections are exactly what you're saying. They're right here in our backyard. They're the ones that really matter and have the impact
That's it.
directly.
That's it.
Yeah. Harry, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing with the folks in Fayette County, in the Tri County area, Bedford?
Well, in this area, it's economics. There's no
Okay.
question about it. And people are under a lot of stress and pressure. We've our economic manufacturing base has eroded here in the last 45 years completely, and nothing's come in to fill that void. And service jobs are great, but they don't pay anything like the manufacturing jobs. And we need a lot of help. You have inflation, you have cost of living going up, the national debt's going through the roof. Um, it's it's tough. It's just like it just eats away at these people. Price of gasoline, it's almost to the point it's almost unsustainable to maintain an economy with the gasoline and energy prices this way. I mean, people face issues of going to work and making it
Right.
work. Price of
Right.
gas. So there has to be something done. It's very important in government to create an atmosphere that people can make a living and sustain a good lifestyle. And I think that's a major concern with the state legislature, the governor, and even the Congress and the president. And but we have so many things pulling at the federal level and at the state level. At the state level, we just can't print money. The federal government can't either. They go borrow it from the Federal Reserve. We have to borrow it from the financial institutions and pay interest. So you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. And the other trouble is that every dollar put in circulation is a loan. So it's deeper debt. And we just go on and on. It perpetuates itself. And the poor average person is just being subdued. That's all. They're worried. It's
Yeah.
sad. Debt levels are up and foreclosures are up. And it creates a sad atmosphere. It really does. And of course, I'm a veteran. I know a lot of veterans are hurting. And in Fayette County, this is nothing new in Fayette County. It's just keep going down, down, down. The people are leaving. The young people, especially, are leaving the county, and that's sad because that's your future. And
Let me go back to something you said that's really important, and I think a lot of folks aren't aware of the way the money gets into circulation on the more local level, state level, um, and what you mentioned about every dollar going out into the economy is borrowed, and that's something I don't think a lot of folks are aware of. Could tell us a little bit more about that, Harry, if you
well,
would.
the Federal Reserve was created. Um, First of all, let's go back. It's illegal to print money. It's legal to coin money. So the government they superseded or got around that issue when they created the Federal Reserve in 1913. So then the government doesn't own the Federal Reserve. It's a banking institution, and it was formed in Jekyll Island, Georgia. J.P. Morgan and these people they had a secret meeting down there, and they told them down in Jekyll Island that they were there to hunt, but none of them took any guns with them. and they came away with this document that they presented during the Wilson administration, and they knew that it would be difficult to get it passed because many senators opposed it, and even presidents have opposed it. And anyone that really opposes it, where they fear where the Federal Reserve has any fear of being extinguished, they've either been destroyed politically, financially, or assassinated. President Lincoln, during the Civil War, there was no Federal Reserve then. They had to borrow money to sustain a war. Today, you don't have to borrow money to raise taxes or to finance a war. They just borrow from the Federal Reserve, so it goes up as a banker's holiday. When President Lincoln issued the back of all of the paper currency of the United States is green in color. They call them greenbacks because the dollars were printed and the money was printed. The green symbolized the support and guarantee of the United States government by our vast land resources. That would be covered. The money would be covered and backed by the land value of the United States. So you would be compensated for your money turned in for instead of gold or silver or whatever it may be. Of course, he was assassinated, and you had McKinley and others that were assassinated. And President Kennedy, it was a bill. I think it was Bill. It was 11-110, I believe it was 11,110. That where he issued in June of 1963 the permission for the United States government to print $30 million of $10 bills. That was with a red seal on it, and it was a silver certificate. Because his father, Joseph P. Kennedy, was the first secretary of the Securities Exchange Commission under the Roosevelt administration coming out of the Depression. And Joe Kennedy Sr. knew that the currency, the paper money, lasted about 7 years. So Kennedy knew that if you would print $30 million of these $10 bills, the money that was out with the Federal Reserve would wear out and extinguish, so you wouldn't have to pay any debt on it. And it would be easier for the United States government to print this and have silver certificates to back it up. Well, he made the peace speech at American University in 1963. I think it was June the 4th or 6th. And I think it was the 23rd or 24th of June he passed this act to print the $30 million of $10 bills with silver certificates. And 6 months later, he's assassinated. So they destroy anyone that does that. And it's a touchy issue. So that's where we are. So everything that goes in has to be borrowed, and it's debt, more and more debt. So what has to be done? It has to be done, and it's difficult to do it. I'm going back to state government now.
Okay.
You have to cut costs.
Okay.
And that sounds easy. It's easy to say. It's not easy to do. You have, if there's so many people with illnesses and problems, and someone has to help them. And this country still has, hopefully, has the grace of God and the caring for people with it, and we have to do that as a legislature. And there's also other costs that have to be met, and it's hard to cut. What bothers me is the Congress last year worked 97 days. That's the federal Congress. It got paid for a full year. Our legislature works, but it's tough to cut the cost. And we don't have a revenue problem coming in. We have an expense problem going out. That's the problem in Harrisburg. So it has to be done. And again, being from Fayette County, it's a beautiful place to be from. It's good people, but we have an economic problem here, and of course, Somerset and Bedford are faced with the same types of issues. So that's where it is, Sal. And as a veteran, I think we spoke before about there should be issues looked into to help veterans any way we can to sustain living. And I'd like to see a task force formed to make that possible. And by putting local veterans organizations, we have AMVETS, we have VFW, we have American Legion, and other veterans that participate that even though belong to those organizations, they should be in this task force with some local government leaders. And as a state senator, if I win this election at that level, to see if we can extend some of the benefits we have for people that come from these economically depressed counties to veterans. and added them too by law in Pennsylvania. We could be a leader in this movement because we have so many veterans in Pennsylvania to
Right.
see if they qualify uh, uh, for some kind of special exemptions or help to make them look more economically favorable to potential employers. Uh, Everyone has to win, and if we can show employers where it's beneficial to them during the hire a veteran during the training program that their salary they must pay them can be subsidized like it was whenever I began to drive a tractor trailer truck. I drove a semi across the country. And I didn't know this when I started. Got the job, we made darn good money. Um, Ran his teams, expedited loads. And I found out after 6 months that they were paying the state was paying half of my salary based on the fact that I was from County 26, which is Fayette County, and they considered me being on welfare before I took the job. Now that's how severe this economic situation was then. It hasn't changed; it's just gotten worse. And we have to lead, have to try, and if we have local input and local people participating, uh, do something to help these people. They need help, and
Right.
my job as a senator, of course, is to do. You have to pass legislation, and you have to trade back and forth in politics to get what you need in your district, whatever the needs or emergencies that may occur, things that happen. But when I was a legislator in the state house, um, when I ran for re-election, the Republicans never, I was a Democrat at that time, the Republicans never ran anyone against me because I took care of my constituents. And I did it myself. I had no aides. I had a part-time secretary at the home district and a full-time secretary in Harrisburg, but that was it. Everything I was to go for myself. And we
Mm.
got it done. Constituent work is a big, big part of it because that's when they come to you with their problems and tell you what they need. And
Right.
you have to be available, and you have to go out and meet with the supervisors meetings and local municipalities at different boroughs, cities, and see what you can do to help. And you need legislative offices in the district. I plan to have 3 offices in this district if I win. That'll be active with good employees, and you have to have that to serve the people. And it's a full
Yeah.
time job.
Let me let me just ask you about this, Harry, because there's a lot of talk and there's a lot of evidence suggesting that the legislators currently are way, way bloated in their spending regarding office furniture, office spaces, leases, things like that. And I think there's probably, and you may be just the man to lead this charge, to have that brought down to a more reasonable, uh, fair economic level. Is that
Well,
possible?
let's face it. Harrisburg spends money like it's theirs, but it's not theirs. It belongs to the people. Now, I'm going to have offices. I'm going to have offices that are geographically accessible to people, so they can pull up. I'll tell you an example. My deal. What I like to do in Fayette County is put the office in the airport here, Collinsville Airport. It's in the center of the county. It's accessible. They have parking out there with the cover on. If it's raining, if it's snowing, whatever it may be, you can get out of your car, walk into the office. It's in Somerset have an office that's convenient. It's not convenient up there right now. You find a place to park. It's hard to get into the office, and Bedford County needs one. It's important to me to have good employees that want to serve the people. They have to have it in their heart to want to help too. And what they're paying in these salaries, you can get that in this senatorial district, and I intend to have that. I have some people already in mind I want to have in these offices. I know they can do the job and they'll do it correctly. And as far as you don't have to, some of these offices they pay a lot of money for the rent. I think it's excessive, and I question what's going on after they pay the rent. Is any kickbacks coming back on it? I don't know. That's just very suspicious
It's
because
exorbitant.
this area doesn't command that kind of rental income. Uh, so I know what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to serve the people. That's my goal. Other than that, I
Right.
shouldn't. I don't even want the job if I can't do that.
Right. Now we talked a little bit before about um, bringing those expenses more in line, and at the same time, I know we don't have any specific um, ideas or details at this point, but I believe the thinking might be towards creating some programs or adding to some programs to help local residents out with things such as maybe
Well, if you can cut costs, which I think we can, I'd like to see. Now, again, the legislative budget for the legislature, the House and Senate is a special account. I mean, when the state has budgetary problems and they can't pass the budget on time and it goes months on end, the legislators are still paid. Um, so you have to see what you can use that money for. Can it, in fact, give that money to some organization that will be helpful in the local region, or maybe help people with rent subsidies, some food, utilities, whatever it may be, and that should be taken care of.
Okay.
Yet it has to be researched and looked into to see how we can do it legally, and if it can be done, then this would also be another way to lead, to try to help
Right.
local people. And of course, my concern is for all the people, but as a veteran, you're always going to have your heart there, because I mean, you were one. We have that feeling. It's just
Right.
it's stronger than any fraternal organization you can belong to. People, our veterans, can understand that.
Right.
We've seen it.
We're,
We've seen
we're
friends
part,
killed and named and suffer to this day. Suicides. It's sad. It really is. So my heart's with them, but I have to do it legally. And the way
right.
you have to, when you're in down there and when you're in office, you can get these answers. You're in there. It's not hard to get them, but it
Yeah.
has to be looked into. And I want it correct, because if you don't do it correctly, then you're breaking the law. So, example, I know the time when I was there before, they did the state fire marshal did an inspection on the state capitol building, and when it was done, there were 48,000 violations of the fire. For the but they weren't going to find the state. They weren't going to tear down the state capitol. So you have to know where you're going, what you're talking about.
Right.
Those issues. That's sort of a crazy way to put it, but that actually did happen. So I want to know what I can do with the money, and make it effective, and don't make anyone feel intimidated or embarrassed, and have it done in a classy way. So it would be done to help, not
I'm hearing your heart very strong for the folks in the communities in Fayette, Somerset, and Bradford or Bedford counties.
Yeah, well, that's right. You don't humiliate people. You know, we, we all just pass through here. Just pass
Right.
through. And
Our mission is to help each other get home.
that's
Cross
it.
that bridge.
That's it.
Yeah.
Each
Now
other.
you're a Fayette County native, Harry, I believe,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Back into the
Seventh
early days
generation.
before the.
Seventh generation. So that's it. It goes back to the 1700s. General Washington brought my eighth. It was about eight generations. My grandfather, he was the veterinarian for the Continental Army, and so when he came out here, he brought him. And one of the reasons Washington loved it out here, there were no counties then. There wasn't even a country then. They were fighting the Revolution. But he had two brothers, stepbrothers, that he wanted to be near, and they were what we had counties then. Today they were over in Cecil Township in Washington County, which wasn't far from Perryopolis, which was one of his favorite places. And he laid out the Main Street, the plans for it. And his dream was to make the nation's capital in Perryopolis, but there was the Youghiogheny River was very shallow over near Witsit, and it wouldn't sustain, the volume of water they needed. And then the state of Maryland did eventually give the United States the land, which is now the District of Columbia, for the nation's capital. So you can thank Maryland for that. And so it goes on. There's a lot of heritage out here.
Yeah, yeah. Let me take us over to accessibility, Harry. And I know for a fact that a lot of the folks that are in office now are not accessible. And, I run into that issue as well. And you are very accessible. We're able to chat and talk. And I'm sure it's going to carry through into when you take office.
Well,
Now,
it has to. I mean, like I told you before, I did it all myself. I was the gopher. I was a state legislator. You were the gopher. You went to the meetings. You went to the houses that they couldn't come to your office to help people with forms. We had pneumoconiosis, which is black lung. They fill out forms. I can go on and on, but you had to help these people in the system. Take forms out to have them signed, and take them to Harrisburg, get it completed, get it back to them, and you enjoyed doing it. People
Mhm.
appreciated you, and you had a good rapport with people. You came close. They knew they could count on you, and you were serving them the best that you could. And it
And you
certainly did your
actually
job.
worked for the people.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's.
yeah, that's what's missing.
And there's a lot more money than there is being a state senator. It's a
Yeah,
lot easier. That's a lot. You just go to work and get your paycheck, and then, but again, you're not participating the way I like to participate. And
that's
this,
where your heart comes in, Harry. It
that's it.
shows through. It
That's it.
shows through. Yeah,
Yeah,
very much admired. Yeah.
that's it.
So we go forward, and we'll have. I think we talked about like three offices, basically.
I have to have three. I have one in each county. Each county, the way each county's laid out is perfect for one in the center of each county.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has to be accessible to people, so they can get there, they can park their car, walk in, and not have a problem, sit down and be served. That's all. Have a
All
staff to
right.
take care of them. And if they want to see me, their hours, I'll be there in each of these offices. And, you know, if they're not there, they've got an emergency, I'll go to see them. And not beyond
Yeah.
that. That's the job. That's the fun part of this. The
Yeah.
fun part's not in Harrisburg. It's not down there.
That's
It's
the
down here with
grind.
the people. Yeah,
That's the grind. Yeah.
that just reminds me of Grant's Tomb Without a Body, that big Capitol building. They're out of there. It's cold, man. Real cold. It's cold some of the times you're there.
Yeah. You need more armor plating on your back than you do on your
That's
chest.
it. That's it. That's it. I used to tell the people to get on an elevator with me down there. I said, get in here. It won't be the last ride you get in this building.
Right. A lot of this. I'm going up now.
That's it. That's it. Grab your wallets.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the task force, and I'm sure there'll be more than one. Depending on what's discovered, and we'll be taking a look at. And I know our heart is with the veterans, especially, but we also want to work for the entire populace. Uh,
Of
so
course.
we're
And most veterans have a member that is a veteran. In this district I represent,
right, right,
Pennsylvania has always been right there for the call.
very
Every war.
patriotic,
Yeah,
very
very is.
patriotic. Yeah, yeah. I'm excited to learn more about the task forces. I really
Well,
am.
according to the task force, once we know what we can
Okay.
really do, and what our goals are, and then the task force will step in and they can, how you say, tweak it how they want it to be,
Right.
and kind of what we have to do. And if we need special legislation to get this done, we'll try to do it. I mean, throughout this Commonwealth, there's 67 counties,
Right.
and there are veterans from all of them, and there are representatives from all of them. So there has to be some empathy there, and
All right.
it's a worthy cause, and you can support it. And I even saw when I was down there before. I saw where they could raise taxes, and people would support you if you can support it. Just to
Right.
raise
So it makes
taxes and
sense.
keep spending money like it's a drunken sailor. It's time to quit. People
Yeah.
aren't going to support that, and they shouldn't have to. People like this have to go. That's why one of the reasons I think you should have term limits
Mm.
in these jobs, and there
Yeah.
should be caps of how much money you can spend to acquire these jobs. It's out of hand.
Yeah.
In many cases, it's become just a big game like that, and that's bad. It's not good for the people. It's not good at all for the people. And you can see the reaction of people. People are they're 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 frustrated, they're upset, and they have a reason to be. Because they pay, and there's just keeps going on. They see an
I'm
election.
I'm hearing from you, Harry, some very clear cut goals and things that you want to accomplish. I know the strategies have to be developed based on the research, like you're saying. But I think one of the things that really sets you apart, if I may, is the fact that your heart is for the people. You're not.
I appreciate you can see that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're correct. We had a fire here the night the 3 Mile Island was to burn down. I came in here to Connellsville, and the University of Pittsburgh football team was here. I remember Bill Hillgrove was the announcer for the Panthers, and at South Connellsville Fire Hall they had a commander's banquet, and we heard fire whistles going off. And of course, I was there, and I said a few words, and sat there and sat there and sat there. But people kept on disappearing from the hall. And so I went home and had a call from the mayor, and he said, "Come down to City Hall. It's been turned into a morgue. We just had a fire in town here where 17 people burned up in a boarding home fire. There was a motorcycle with a gas thing chained to a radiator, and it caught fire, and these people were living in basements, and it was horrible. But we had 17 deaths. So I went to Harrisburg, and I put in a bill, and it was long overdue. I sponsored the bill to create guidelines for personal care boarding homes. We had nothing like that in Pennsylvania. And I fought the battle, and I got through. I was a freshman in the minority, and I got through it. I remember that Bishop William Kinnair for the Greensburg Catholic Diocese sent me a letter. I knew him, my family, from the time I was a little young boy, and I'm not a Catholic, but I knew him and had great respect for him. And he said, please do something to help. And whenever the chairman, I was a minority member and a freshman for the Health and Welfare Committee, Joe Zord from down in Pittsburgh, Castle Shannon, he said, he was the chairman, he was a Republican. He said, there's no money. So I pulled the letter out, the diocese letterhead, and I just tossed it on the long table, went stopped right in front of me. He read the letter and he said, you tell him right back, tell him that we have no money. I said, no, you put it on your letterhead if you're going to lie. So we had a 15-minute recess, and I told him, I'm not pulling this bill. I want to put out a committee.
Mm-hmm.
So we got it out, and we got it in, and eventually the governor signed it, Thornburg, and I gave Bishop Kinnair the pens, the original pen, as a keepsake for what he did, because without his letter, I was done on arrival. So the things you have to do, and you have to be innovative sometimes to get things done down there. But that was humanitarian cause, and we do have it. I went to many counties in Pennsylvania on hearings on these boarding homes, and the things I saw, I wouldn't have rats live like that. You see, there are personal care homes for people that are ill and need that, and of course, it's all based on money. I mean, and you can't expect someone that's just working on someone's Social Security or a few $100s a month. They're not going to eat like the Waldorf Astoria. The man
Right.
is the business. So you have to make this reasonable and as clean and safe as you can, and have regulations. And we got it passed. And no one was happy with what we got exactly, because it's money again. It's all about money. So you have to work it. And so whatever is there, and that's just the sad reality of life. But where we are, brother.
So from your very earliest beginnings, Harry, you have a heart for the people. You look down for the people that most folks would just look the other way and say, well, there they are. Whoever they are, there they are. And
Well, I think any veteran has that spirit. I mean, you served, and I served in foreign countries, and when I served TDY behind the Iron Curtain, I saw many things there, how people were treated. You had told me you were in Berlin,
mm-hmm.
and through that wall, the Kaiser Wilhelm Church was there, and they had the old Kaiser Wilhelm Church.
Yeah, the bombed out church. Yeah,
and the Fürstendamm. I remember that. But when you get through there, East Berlin was another world. It was the night, the Stasi, and what you had to do to come back to the checkpoint. But
totally different.
I mean, I got an education. I got an education that was priceless, and I owe it to my country as serving them. And it wasn't. I was lucky. God was with me. I had orders for Vietnam, and I got as far as Okinawa, the RV in training, and fortunately I got turned around and sent back to the States and then back to Europe. Not back to Europe. It's the first time I went to Europe actually in the Army, so I had to serve there in the Third Army Commanding General Staff with Frankfurt, which was a great duty, and it was a great prestigious position. And I honored it, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
It's nice to be on a staff like that, but yet, we were responsible for the division and the troops out there, the privates, the PFCs, the corporals. That was the backbone of our division.
Harry, we've come to the worst possible part of the show, the end. We're out of time. I so enjoy having you and visiting with you and talking with you. very much. We're gonna have to
Well, it's
do
fun to
this.
get to do this. Thanks, Saul. I wish you the best. I hope you come out here. You look me up when you come out here.
Yeah,
Good with you.
yeah. I'll be out this weekend. Actually, I haven't really mentioned it yet, but I will be. This
Well,
is Sal Santori reminding you to please find someone to help. Thank you, Harry.
thank you, Saul.